Friday. We're watching this Artemis 2 mission. It's just a few hours out from splashdown. Something we haven't seen. We've not seen astronauts return from deep space since I was a little child. And so history in a lot of terms this afternoon. I'd give anything if it was during our show and we could all be here together live, but it'll be about an hour later if everything goes right. They've gotten the final green light to do their final burn and line the craft up so it's on the trajectory to get here. And any drama or any news or anything that comes up on that, we will be updating you on as well. All American Metals bringing you the show tonight, the turnkey place to get your steel building built right here, local folks with control of the whole process. To me, that means a lot that you're dealing with people that live in our community. They're 100% steel experts back to the 1960s. They own their own factories. They produce this structural stuff themselves. They bend their own sheet metal to your color specs. They put together all the framing and the trusses and the primary framing and the secondary framing and they even went out, they gave me a factory tour and they bought a machine. There are these little clips. This is the detail. Let me just share this story. They're called them clips. I wasn't even sure what they were talking about, but it's really what connects the main framing together. They're just sort of right angle steel pieces that have to be of a certain thickness and size. And so that's easily something they could just import, right? They could just probably have it done a whole lot cheaper. Just it's a tiny part. Just doesn't matter in some people's way of thinking to the whole building. But they said, nope, we're going to control everything. So they bought these machines to just sit and make these things. So they've got a constant supply of clips, the insulation packages, the screws, the bolts, the nuts, the design team. You've got a fully integrated setup so they can walk you through the process, help you think through what you're trying to build, whether it's a pole barn like mine or a shed or a lean-to. I actually built a barn, then added a lean-to. Sometimes you might want to add space. These buildings can be modular like that. You can just make them longer. And if you're trying to add on this year, they do those kind of projects too. Those aren't too small for them. But they can also build a whole warehouse. I mean, a big giant warehouse with giant steel beams. And so go to work with these guys. What you're going to find, let me talk about what benefits you. Their price is better. Their designs are custom. And their turnaround on everything, the plans, the delivery, all that is way quicker than some of their big competitors. It's All American Metals, All American Steel Buildings. It's aa-metal.com, aa-metal.com. All right, if Steve's still there, we'll dive back into this NATO discussion. And then I'm keeping an eye on all these rescue ships that are out there waiting for the splashdown. That's just so dramatic looking. They got the helicopters and all the boats waiting for this thing to land where it's supposed to land. Steve, keep going, man. You were talking about us getting out of NATO, and I did have some thoughts, but I wanted you to finish yours.
Well, just real quick, I know a girl from Mississippi that I dated for a while, and she lived over there at that Air Force base in Spain because her dad was a GE jet, a General Electric jet engineer, which,
yeah,
so he had to be there to regularly service, all the planes and stuff had GE engines. And it costs us a ton to have all those Air Force bases over there. If we're going to start getting rid of some of them, I say we start with Spain because they're going back to Spanish Civil War stuff over there. You know what I mean?
Well, they were one of the first, and they're still one of the holdouts. Italy's kind of come around. The UK's come around. They're trying to lead the open, the straight, and it's in their own interest to do that anyway. But let's just talk about NATO in general. Originally, it made sense for all these Western nations when there was a Soviet Union to keep a close alliance in case there were more invasions. It was during the Cold War, post-World War II, so that we'd have mutual defense compacts. And
I know that.
all of these armies in those days were robust. Even though the French were the French, they still had a pretty modern military by those days, no matter what Hitler did to them. And so the world made sense to be aligned that way. But over time, through mass migration, global politics change, and some of those, especially the western part of Europe, believe it or not, the more eastern countries are more patriotic to them, have their own national identities and are more dug in on freedom issues like Hungary and Poland than Spain or France or Germany, the United Kingdom right now. So repeatedly, they've by not investing in their militaries the way they should have been, their militaries aren't even that helpful anyway. We are so far ahead of them. Now they do make good customers, and we got a big defense industry, and we love to sell them stuff. But at the
Yeah,
same
that's
time,
true.
they've let us down on their capability, on their sincerity about defending us when we need them, and this has become a test of that. So I
I
don't
know,
think
but
it'll be the end of NATO as a group. That there just won't be a NATO. There'll be something to replace it, and I sense that we're going to have a realignment of nations that mean business. They're actually closer to the old Soviet border, and some used to be in the Soviet Union that are much better aligned with the United States, and they've not been invaded
yeah.
by the global invasion that was allowed in some of those other countries. And they're between their green energy failure and mass
Oh
migration,
yeah.
which they were attempting here, they're too weak to be part of it anyway.
They, most of them have closed their nuclear plants years
Yeah.
ago.
Oh yeah. And they're
It's
trying to
crazy.
fire them back up now because they learned their
Did you
lesson.
ever
It was a folly.
did you ever watch the movie or read the Hemingway book For Whom the Bell Tolls?
I did like late high school. I still have
Well,
it on
it's
my
all about
bookshelf.
the Spanish Civil War, of course.
Yeah.
You know, great movie with Gary Cooper.
Yep.
What's her face? Ingrid Bergman. I can't remember her name. But I mean, now they are reverting back to that after all these years.
Yeah,
They
that's a good point. Yeah, that's interesting.
they've elected a Bernie Sanders like or whatever socialist Democrat. I guess I don't even know what they call him over there, El Presidente or Prime
Yeah,
Minister or whatever.
it's a female, isn't it, in Spain? And I think it's a
No,
woman.
it's a dude.
It's prime
But
minister.
yeah, I guess
I have
that's
to
what
go
they
look
call
into
it.
that.
I'm not really sure. I don't know either. So I think they call him prime minister. I guess doesn't
It
matter.
says here it's Pedro
But
Sanchez. It is a man. It's Pedro Sanchez. I remember that now. Now that I see his face on my computer screen, that's exactly right.
he's a loon ball wackadoodle.
Oh yeah, yeah. They,
So
yep.
but anyway, that couple, the two sisters I was telling you about, they had flown to California and were renting a car to drive to Florida. And the reason they stopped in South Alabama is because they had just watched Forrest Gump and they saw the Balabatry sign, so they got
Mm-hmm.
curious about it. Just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to drive down there. And my friend, she ended up marrying a guy who works for Siemens, and she's from a pretty well-off Spanish family. I mean, they didn't come over here looking for husbands or anything. In fact, she ended up remodeling an old Spanish deco house, kind of modernized it from 1906, and her whole damn family kept coming over for siesta. And they would take trips down to like Orange Beach and Dauphin Island and New Orleans.
Sure, it's
They're
beautiful
real
down
nice
there.
people.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Well, anyway, if we're not going to get to vote on it, but I say they're first to go. So
All right.
I'll talk to you later.
We got one vote for kicking Spain out. Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, we can fight about NATO on another day, I guess. But yeah, look, I got a chance to visit Spain for the first time last summer, and I enjoyed it. We just went to Barcelona. We didn't do the whole country. It's a city my son really loves, and he had visited a lot, so we put that on the list of stops. And it was very enjoyable, very walkable. And of course, we just had the incident in Barcelona where the Alabama student died right in that same area, and so I was very familiar with it. And I found them to be very warm and friendly people. But as for their politics and their history, particularly on some of these same issues, Spain's always been an odd country that way, a little bit different than the rest of Europe. And they're going to wind up. Here's the thing, though: they'll all wind up needing us at some point. They will wind up needing our help once they get arrogant. You ever had spoiled kids in your family? You give them everything, you protect them, you try to show them love, but you got to be disciplined with them. But at some point, they become arrogant enough to think they're as entitled to everything that you built and that you bring to the table as you are, and they haven't done anything but just exist. And Europe has gotten that way. They've been coasting off wealth that was generated in the 1500s. And that whole region is still actually coasting down from being a world power. And they don't even recognize it in themselves because they've got this amazing history and architecture and their food and the cultural things that they're so proud of. But that stuff's going to be upended. And Spain uniquely has its own deep history with the battles with the encroachment of Islam itself, and Islam never gives up. It never gives up and it aims to conquer, and it has, and it will. Thanks, Steve. AJ, you can hang that one up. Yeah, Spain. How did that even come up? Anyway, fascinating discussion there. Now, back just generally, let me wrap that thought up, and then we'll move on to some other stuff. NATO, look, NATO is more important than the UN. The UN is feckless and ridiculous and just absurd. So is the World Health Organization. None of these global bodies have any real power. I saw a funny meme this morning, and it said, "That's a war crime. That's a violation." And it was like somebody complaining about Trump. They had a little phone or something. He goes, "Oh yeah, well, why don't you call the world police?" And the person said, "I will." And they dialed up the little phone. And when they called the world police, Trump picked up the phone and said, "Hello." They need us in a crisis. They needed us. Russia goes into Ukraine. They start having fear, Cold War fears, and fears from times past. And immediately, the whole region wanted us to supply the arms, supply the technology. They wanted us on the ground. There were American politicians that wanted us on the ground. And our own government was largely responsible for the upheaval in Ukraine in the first place. Ukraine, another beautiful country with corrupt politicians. So we got to be careful and tread lightly. I don't think any reasonable observer, and I'm not saying these podcasters that are all at war with each other, spinning conspiracy theories. And by the way, there's another one today. There's a confession letter has been published from this Tyler Robinson that killed Charlie Kirk, where he just confesses to his lover and the whole thing. I thought we had seen that before, but it's in much greater detail. And I'm sure some of these nuts are going to say that, I don't know, Netanyahu wrote that letter. I don't know. These people are nut. They've spun themselves into a place where they're getting good clicks, so they got to stay with it because it keeps the following going, but it's senseless. And so those people aren't running the country right now. They're just there and making noise and being entertainers. And y'all got to see it for that, including our show. I mean, as much as I try to be informative and have an informed opinion when I develop one and tell you what I think, we're entertainment. I don't have a vote any more than you do, but we all get together and talk about it every day. But anyway, man, I just spun into oblivion there for a second. Let me get some focus, and we'll take a quick break. 545-9950 if y'all want to get in here. That's what we do. We just kick it around. If y'all got anything on your mind today, we will talk about it. We got I got another laundry list of things to get to outside of the two big ones this afternoon, which have been with us for a minute. The Iran situation, of course, and the Artemis mission, and we'll still stay on those. We're not going to stray too far, but we'll talk about whatever you got on your mind tonight. Distinctive Pools bringing you the show. I love talking about them. It makes me smile to think about all these pool projects. Some people will put off the decision for a long time. It's a big decision, man. You're going to dig up your yard and make a big investment. The question is always, will I use it? And is it going to be hard to take care of? They can answer all those questions for you at Distinctive Pools. And listen, live your own life. People will do that to you about boats or any luxury that you try. You'll have people in your life go, "Man, you're going to regret that. That's going to be a pain in the ass." When I bought a boat, I remember the first thing somebody told me is like, the happiest days of a boat owner are the day you buy it and the day you sell it. Like, you'll just be glad to sell it. And that wasn't true. I did eventually sell my boat. I had a good time with that thing. I'm glad I bought it. Everybody I know that has a pool, they love showing off their pool, entertaining their friends, and hanging out by it. It's an aesthetic if you know what you're doing with it. So the key, though, I think, is doing it correctly. Not having a cheap pool that it's not quite what you wanted. You just as soon not do it. But if it's beautiful and it's the latest technology and easy to maintain and take care of, absolutely. Y'all, Gary Levesque, personally, just Gary, has been at it for 40 years. And then you add some of his team's experience in both pools and hardscapes, and you got a deep, rich company that can get this done exactly like you want it, properly, everything working good and looking good. They can even help you get it financed. They got finance companies that just do pool projects. It's distinctivepools.com, distinctivepools.com. Hey, I just looked over here and saw that my man Craig Westbrook is over here on the hotline. Craig, I was just talking about you a little while ago when I was talking about Michael down at Tapco, and I was telling him, I said, we'll all be down there tomorrow. Let's talk. What's going on with you, man?
Oh, that's awesome. You're going to be there?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to be there right at 11. I got two things I got to get done in the morning, but I can't wait to see how it goes for your big ribbon cutting.
Wait.
Yeah,
that's
man.
Awesome, man. Well, we're excited. It's the day before, so I figured I'd give you one more call just to get folks fired up. I've been getting quite a few calls from people that have heard it on the radio that are asking for details that plan on looking hard at them. So I'm excited.
Good. So let's start from the beginning for folks who don't even know what the hell we're talking about. Y'all have got a new business. It's not a side hustle. It's a whole new business down at your Birmingham Brooker location, and it's called BB Electric Moto. Do I have that right? I know
exactly right.
You tweaked the name a little bit. And how would you describe these? I call them electric motocross motorcycles, but you probably got a better description.
I think you nailed it. I mean, they're basically electric dirt bikes.
Yeah.
They're called e-motos, not to be confused with e-bikes. E-bikes are what you'd see that are more pedal assist and electric, additional to it. Well, these are a controller, a motor, and a battery on what looks like a dirt bike with foot pegs.
And they're street legal
go
too,
anywhere
right?
from 40 miles an hour to 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
No, they are not. No. They are not street legal. They're designated as off-road use vehicles.
Got it.
Now that doesn't mean people don't ride them. That doesn't mean the magistrate says that that they're that they treat them like bicycles. But what happens if a bunch of people get out there and start being abusive with them, that will change. But
exactly.
But right now there's no real rub with it. But it's not. It's not. It's gray. It's gray.
So who's the person that would buy this? I mean, when I saw the little ones, I thought every grandparent and parent has got something cool that you could do this Christmas. But outside of that, tell me about everybody else and how they would use them.
Well, the grandparents and the parents are buying them for the kids, but the dads are also buying them for themselves. They're getting out there and having fun. They're going up to the ridge and going to the trails and going to the power lines, and riding them around the neighborhood, all the little community anthill neighborhoods, just out having a good time. Like I ride with my 14-year-old and my 11-year-old at least 3 times a week. We just get out there, and it's just great bonding time and memory making. I just don't have them that much longer. And
that's right.
I'm trying to value what I can, get what I can.
Only so many summers, man. There's only so many summers. Listen, let's talk about the event tomorrow and tell me the whole layout. It's where do people park? I know you start at 11, right?
Yes, from 11 to 3. And, Southside's kind of a ghost town on Saturdays, so just park anywhere on 4th Avenue.
Yep.
I'm at 4th and 23rd Street South. Right at 12, we'll kind of have some little contests, for people that do bring their bikes. And then 1 o'clock is going to be the ribbon cutting. 1:30 is going to be the raffle. We have a ton of stuff we're raffling off. Will from Chubb Fathers is going to be there, so we're going to have great food, Philly cheesesteaks, chicken Phillies, burgers. He's going to be really bringing it. We're doing a lot of cash prizes too. We're trying to encourage content creators. People that like to do little videos for the Instagram and the Facebook and TikToks and all that. I've got tons of contests, like best content video for each model that we have, which we have 10 different models. Best overall. But I'm giving out over $1,000 in cash to people. I'm using it as a way to help get good content. But I also want the people that come to visit, I want their perspective.
Yeah, and getting good customer feedback. Look, I'm proud of you for the expansion. I love fun toys, and these things I'm telling you, y'all got to look at them. They're very, very cool bikes, and I'll be down there for a little while hanging out with y'all somewhere around 11, Craig.
Can't wait to see you.
All right, bro. And tell Will.
Thanks.
The only problem with Will coming is I like hanging out with Will. But when he's got his food truck, this dude gets busy, and he is in the zone, and I can't even talk to him. He's just busy. So
he will be in the zone tomorrow, I can tell you that.
He'll be slinging it, and I just stay out of his way. But all the crew will be down there, and we will see you tomorrow, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
All right, y'all, back here in just a minute. Y'all stay tuned. Man, we had a call yesterday. Trump went, Trump went after all those podcasters that are got dropped off into conspiracy land, and one of our callers called up, I guess defending Tucker Carlson or whatever. I just read Trump's statement, but it's funny how we're in the middle of war stuff and real serious things, spaceships coming home, but yet these personality things still wind up online. So I just saw this pop up. Well, for one, I've got a soundbite. We may run it later. CNN has a poll where it's not even close. MAGA just deeply supports Trump. And when you put the two personalities, Tucker Carlson doesn't even show up. I mean, I'm not diminishing him. I used to really enjoy his program, but he's not the president. He's not important at all in these matters. And he's not dividing the MAGA base. Well, one of the candidates that Carlson supports in South Carolina against Lindsey Graham just forced to drop out. So Trump's making a big deal out of it as if he won some battle against Tucker Carlson. Now, granted, Trump's supporting Lindsey Graham, and I get the heebie-jeebies about that, but what do you do? Man, South Carolina. Oh, well, back in a minute, bottom of the hour, 3:30. Here we go, Leland Live. Man, it's so funny. I just heard the Jawbone Jam promo playing, and then and then you played Cattle. Those are my buddies in the band Cattle. They had a reunion late last year and decided to keep doing it. So now I don't know if you call it a tour, if those guys have put together a whole tour, but I know that I saw a thing the other day where they're going to be playing up in Kentucky. So we had them. I had begged them. I said, "Man, y'all got to do Jawbone Jam with us this year now that you're back together." And then we wind up connecting with Brother Kane, and it just turned into a thing, man. It's our 10th anniversary. So I wanted to plug it again. I checked in with them yesterday. We do have tickets left. They sold briskly, and then I think it kind of topped out, but there's still some tickets left, and we're about to, just a little tip to this audience. Because I'm saying I want the Leland Live crowd to outnumber the Richard and Val crowd. I'm just saying. AJ, do we need to start a rivalry with
I think so.
Monkey Civil War here on the staff between each other?
As long as there's no poo being thrown.
Yeah, we're not throwing poo. Val's too nice for that. Richard would do that, though. I believe Richard would get in a poo fight. But no, we'd love to see y'all. Let me just explain if you haven't heard about it by now. We started doing a music festival for the station we called Jawbone Jam. It wasn't called that when we did our first kickoff party. We did it downtown, but we were launching a brand new station. We had no idea we'd make it even 10 years. It was, the company was taking the chance to make an investment in all local talent, which is rare nowadays in this business of everything being automated. And so here we are 10 years later dominating. And, so we turned it into, we used to just, Richard had a band and I would get a band together and we'd play ourselves and get a headliner. And I enjoyed doing that, but man, we wound up on the 10th anniversary with 3 incredible bands. So let me give you the details. We'd love to see you. We're about a month out. So Birmingham's kind of one of those, we've always been known as a walk-up town. It's just anybody that's ever put on a concert or sporting event, we're just known for that. Birmingham will buy our tickets at the last minute as long as they're still available. So we're a little over 30 days out. It's May the 15th down at Iron City. Y'all know where it is by now. We've done a lot of our events there over the years. And, Brother Kane also got back together this year, new album out. They're touring the whole country. Damon's been touring with Leonard Skinner, man. He's playing guitar with those guys. That's amazing. So they're the headliner, basically. They've been touring with a band called Stone Horses. They said, can they come along? We were like, yeah. So it's Cattle, and any one of these bands could fill that place up and entertain us all night. But so shorter sets from each, but man, we're so excited. So listen out for the promos running. And we do have ticket details. You can go to ironcity.com, and it's right there on their website. And you can also go to Ticketmaster. And I don't know how all that works. And we didn't price the tickets. This is a legit concert. We're just playing our role. And we'll all be there. We'll have the whole team down there. I'm going to do the show from 2 to 6 that night down in Iron City. We always tend to do that. The good news is I'm not playing this time, so I'm not worried about sound check and all that. I just get to do the show and have fun and get to hang out with people more. But we're pumped. We made it 10 years, and this is the biggest show we've ever done as far as the Jawbone. So we're going to fill the place up. There have already been enough tickets sold to really crowd it out pretty good, but there's still room is what I'm saying. They still have capacity. I think maybe another 100, 150 left out of that room. So y'all jump on them and make sure you get them and get out there, and let's have a good time in May as we really kind of get summer kicked off too, and we just couldn't be more excited. So maybe even be some reunions. So I'm going to try to drag some of our former colleagues here at the station in to come visit with us that night too. Y'all, Alabama Bass, been with us for years as well. What a great company. If you got somebody in your life that losing a step or two, or maybe it's you're just getting older. I'm telling you, if you've ever had an incident like that where you've almost fallen in there, because it's slick. You drop a little shampoo, you spill a little soap, next thing you're skating around like Eric Hyden. And you don't want to be doing that. There's dangerous stuff that you can fall on in a normal setup like that. So y'all reach out to the team at Alabama Bass. Mike alone has been doing these bath projects for 40 years. We've got such experience with our advertisers here on the show. So he knows a thing or two about bath projects, and they've just got the best. They have the best products in the industry. They will beat their corporate competitors every single time. Y'all just go see them. This might even be a gift for somebody in your life that you'd love to have some independence, because let's be real, you don't want to have to go over and give mom or dad a sponge bath. now that they're getting older. And if you can talk them into it, this could be an improvement where they keep their dignity. They can get clean at night safely, and you don't have to worry about them falling. If you're lucky enough to have your parents live with you that long, that's actually a lucky thing to have that problem. Let's all take care of it with our friends at Alabama Bath. Their price is better. Their materials are better. Slip-proof surfaces. The design is better. It's beautiful stuff. They're affordable, and they'll take care of it in 2 days. You got a completely different facility. It's alabamabaths.com. Online, alabamabaths.com. AJ, I feel like I'm losing my voice again. I feel fine, but I still think it's the pollen. Like by 2 hours of the show, I started getting hoarse.
Yeah. The pollen is still out there.
It's not gone yet.
It's not gone. I washed my car, and it's like it's like right back in full force.
I know it. I know. I thought it was kind of better, but I was outside a good part of the day, and I think it just all adds up. So anyway, there we are. I'm gonna quit bitching. Let me see if let me switch gears. And we'll make room for more phone calls. If you want to stack back in here, we'll put the calls back on the board and get going again. There's something that has popped up of late that's really, we just talked about divisions with the Republican Party. This one has got some people hot under the collar. It's another attempt at Republicans to try to do some kind of attempt at amnesty. Now, they don't want to call it that. But that's what it is. And I think this is several times this woman I think her last name is Salazar, has attempted to bring a bill forward that does this stuff. So they've come up with something called the Dignidad Act. Naturally, they would put it in Spanish to try to float this out there with the idea being here's a compassionate way to give people dignity that don't want to have to leave. Okay, just generally, I believe some people might be open to that, right? Even on the right, even in MAGA. All right, because we understand of the criminals and the MS-13 and the gangbangers and other people that have come in here, there are clearly people here that are earnest. We've all met them and know them. We've seen them on projects or they've waited on you at a restaurant. They are very family-oriented. They bring a lot to the table, as immigration has done in the past. But how do you sort that out on this side of the border? We should have sorted it out on the way in. That's the point of a proper immigration system, is you vet people, and we didn't. And so it is just poured in here. I saw a statistic today, for example, that there have been 0 catches and releases for the month of March. Now that we're in April, the March numbers are in 2026. In 2024, when Biden was president, there were 78,000 in that month alone. In other words, people crossed and were allowed in because they were incentivizing it. They were giving them these welfare benefits. They were letting them set up fake hospices and going through all that nonsense. So here comes the Dignidad Act. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, but it's a combo act put together by Maria Salazar and Veronica Escobar, and they put 2 women out in front of it, but the elements of it are insane. There's things in there like if you get certain felonies, you don't have to automatically be deported, like a DUI. There are things that allow people that have already been deported, even in Trump's first term, that will be allowed to come back. There are incentives in there if you are a lawyer and you will agree to represent these illegal immigrants in their immigration hearings, you can have your student loans forgiven. I mean, it's another one of these red carpet bills that probably in the beginning started with proper intentions, but it's just chock full of things that are going to get it killed. They try to create a whole new legal status that's not necessarily amnesty, but if you read it, it's amnesty. There's some good things in it too. Trying to double down on implementing E-Verify, but it's an amnesty program. It's a 7-year amnesty program for people, and they don't have an objective way to sort folks out still on this side of the border, where the standards for which you could qualify under this don't really separate you from the people we really need out of this country. And that's a problem. And the deportations are continuing. And at some point, I do think it's going to be incumbent upon Republicans, particularly Trump, to create maybe a readmission program. In other words, if you were here for a period of time and you can demonstrate you were a good citizen, you were productive, you worked, you caused no trouble and committed no crimes, but you self-deported and went home and did the honorable thing, I think there should be some eligibility for you to return the proper way, because our country could benefit from that. We're having, believe it or not, we're having a population challenge right now. In long term, we're having a birth collapse. Elon Musk has been talking about it, and you've got to shore that up, or you wind up being like Japan, who's almost having a collapse right now, and it's hurting their economic strength when you just do the numbers on it. And so the question for us is, well, what kind of people are going to make up that gap? It can be these hardworking, very family-oriented, capitalistic people from South and Central America, or you can have Allah Akbar and be praying to Mecca 5 times a day and not being able to walk in a Costco without some halal food. It's your choice, Western civilization. So, but it should be up to us as to who to allow in and who fits and who will assimilate and who won't. If you come from a culture that doesn't assimilate, we shouldn't let you in here. Assimilation's everything. If you're willing to come here and assimilate, follow the rules and get in line, do the things, that's the way we've always done it. That's legal immigration, and we need a better way to do it. This bill ain't it. This Dignidad thing is an absolute, almost an abomination. Again, there's some stuff in it that is interesting, that there are creative concepts in there. But it's just like the stuff that Lindsey Graham kept trying to push and other people kept sending to us. It's just more of the same, where they're trying to give a blanket pass to people without the proper program to sort people out that shouldn't be here. And I think it's going to be a failed attempt. I can't imagine, especially in these times, that this thing will actually move forward. But it's out there. And it's being debated, and I thought y'all ought to know a little bit about it. I'll go through some deeper points on it maybe later in the show, depending on what else we get into. You never know on a Friday. Let's talk about Huey Tampon on our way to the break, man. Tommy still got, I always do these when he'll let me know about a special that he's running over at Huey Tampon on the guns. I will tell you about it until he calls me and says, quit, I've sold them all, and he hadn't done that yet. So I'm assuming he's still got some AR-12. These are AR-styled shotguns, meaning they have a mag, they have ergonomics, they're in that comfortable carry kind of shape, and they're kind of badass. But they're 12 gauge shotguns, and he's got them on sale. I think the price was $279. What? That's good. That's a good price. These are cool just to have in your collection. I think all the ones that came in the last batch were all that bronze color, which was the most popular color that he had in the last round. They had some black ones, some tungsten gray ones, and this sort of, I still call it desert camo, but it's more of a bronze look. They've got them, Huey Tampon. If you don't have anything to do this weekend, go snag one while they're on sale. And then we'll wait for Tommy to come up with something else. He's always coming up with these bulk purchases and incredible values for folks that want to add to their gun collection or buy your first gun. They've got pre-owned stuff. They got tactical stuff. They got hunting stuff, both shotgun and rifle. Accessories, sound suppression. They got probably better sound suppression selection than anybody in town. So go get to know them over in Hueytown, Brook Lane Drive. It's Huey Tampon. Huey Tampon. Back in a minute. All right, let's keep going. Danny Knowles is at the Knowles Group. Heck of a week in the markets this week. Where did it finish today? Let me pull that up. Down the Dow, down 269. NASDAQ up 80. It's kind of mixed all day. A lot of anticipation about whatever's going to come out of the talks this weekend. I think some of that, to be honest with you, based on the change in, there wasn't as much volatility except for the two big up days we had. It just seems like they've sort of priced in all the risk at this point, but they're waiting for the bottom and some kind of breakthrough so they can just go back to normal. And you can feel that upward pressure when you monitor the markets every day. But hey, don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not a stock analyst, and I'm just a news guy that watches the headlines. But Danny, however, has spent his life helping people place their investments and put them in places that can be there for them in the long run when you retire. Maybe some of you are retired and somebody else helps you manage your funds right now, but you'd like a better return. And sometimes that can mean less fees, less pass-through costs, less just a better overall strategy. Sit down with Danny and see what they can do for you. Let them take a look. It doesn't cost anything to go over there and talk to them about your situation, what your goals are, where you want to be, when you want to be there, all that stuff. I think every single person has a different formula, but they'll help you figure that out and treat you right. It's Danny Knowles, a lifelong friend of mine. Danny Knowles with the KnowlesGroup.com, N-O-L-E-S, the KnowlesGroup.com. Well, I'm watching this countdown clock. I'm a little obsessed with the story. I've probably run out of one-liners about it, but 3 hours and 13 minutes from now, our astronauts will return from space. It's a mission by now, you know, that they've traveled further than any humans have ever gone. There's symbolism in it. It was the first spaceship to spaceship radio call between the space station and our ship. When we had astronauts back in the day going to the moon, we didn't have a space station. So it'll be so fascinating to see how they return. I always wonder what goes, and they've been asked this so many times, you know, they'll get tired of answering the question about what goes through your mind. But, you know, when you blast off, and these guys understand the science of it better than we do, and maybe that gives them confidence because they understand how it all works. But, man, you're on the head of a gigantic controlled explosion trying to escape the gravity of Earth. And that's the most dangerous part. That's where a lot of our missions end that have ended tragically. And they made it through that. And I don't know if the middle is less stressful because they're basically floating out there, doing interviews, doing their science experiments. They weren't just taking a ride. I mean, I know Perry, what's her name? The Perry chick that was the astronaut, Katy Perry. I know Katy Perry's an astronaut too, but maybe we should ask her. I've noticed nobody has had her on the newscast, AJ, to get her expert advice on what they're going through on the Artemis mission. Maybe she's too busy being all tied up with Justin Trudeau. I don't know. So, but coming back, I would think is equally as intense, even though engineering wise and physics wise, the danger level of the blast off itself and, you know, escaping the Earth, but coming in that reentry burn and hitting that angle correctly and the blackout period where there's no communication when the whole ship basically is on fire and you're hoping that heat shield does what a heat shield's supposed to do. And then the impact of the splashdown itself, I was looking at some of the coverage of it today, and, you know, we all know the capsule will come down very much. It looks very much like the capsules that came down with the Apollo missions, because I guess that conical sort of shape is probably the best shape for a ocean splashdown. But it'll have those three big parachutes that'll pop out to slow its descent, and it comes in. I mean, at one point it's going 300 or 400 miles an hour burning through the atmosphere. And then by the time it hits the water, it'll slow down to about 17 to 20 miles an hour. And when you look at the math on that, that sounds like it's much slower. But have you ever bumped a car in a parking lot? If you have ever crashed your bicycle, that's pretty fast. That's pretty fast in the impact alone of hitting the water that quickly. But can you imagine the jubilation the minute they know they're down and they're good? Because for the rest of their lives, these guys will be legends, and they'll have this incredible role in not just American history, but the history of mankind. It's just, I could get all sentimental and emotionally wrapped up in it, but again, I said it already a couple times. I really wish we had it live tonight so we could all go to it and listen to it together. And as soon as I'm done, I got some things I got to do after the show. I'm going to turn the TV on and listen to all the radio traffic and the countdown of this and that and all the maneuvers that they make. It's just humans don't get to do this a whole lot. And in my lifetime, the Apollo missions, I was a small kid, so I don't remember details about watching it with the family, but we all grew up in that, with that folklore, especially here in Alabama with the situation up in Huntsville and the space station and the all that our contributions are to space flight. And to this day, the contributions from our neighbors up in Huntsville to all that's going on. And can you imagine how it feels to be there tonight on that campus, watching something that you participated in, and it all comes to fruition just in 3 hours and 8 minutes and 46 seconds as we watch the countdown tonight. Y'all, Lonnius Furniture Company also bringing you the show. They're just right up the road from here, between here and Huntsville, up in Kimberly, Alabama. If you don't have plans, I know it's going to be a beautiful weekend, but man, go see them at Lonnius. If you're doing some improvements or some spring sprucing up, or you're straightening out, just trying to make things look fresh for the rest of the year, they've got so many good ideas. If you're just looking for inspiration, sometimes it's like that. You don't know quite what you want, but you need some ideas. They got a store full of them. Almost an acre of furniture under one roof. I mean, an acre. Inside, outside the home. And there's more stuff. They got more stuff than you'll see when you walk in. They've got a huge warehouse operation. And on top of that, if that doesn't suit you, they can custom order anything you want and make it just like you want it and get it back here to Birmingham or back here to Alabama. Y'all go see John and Reggie and that wonderful crew in Kimberly, Alabama this weekend. They're off exit 280. It's LonniusFurnitureCompany.com. LonniusFurnitureCompany.com. Over to the news. Back here in just a minute. Leland Live, Talk 99.5.